course, and thank you for tuning in. This is Bruce Leonard Leans Left. While it's still legal. It's still legal today. It's always a never-ending question here in this show. It's the State of the Union tonight. And here's the question. The State of the Union really only matters, right, if you believe that the people talking to you are telling you the fucking truth. And now I don't know how many things have to happen and how many lies these people need to be caught in, or how much just blatant bullshit they fucking shovel at all times for you to understand that he's not going to tell you the truth about anything tonight. Not one fucking thing. Because I'm not sure that Trump even knows what the truth is at this point. He's used to living in a world where he controls what the prevailing thoughts are. And there's nobody in his orbit who will stand up to him and tell him. Like, we're about to go to war with Iran, which is a terrible idea. Well, there's a reason why we have never done this. Because it's a bad fucking idea. But we're going to go to war strictly because there is not one person in the Republican Party with the balls to stand up to Donald Trump except for Thomas Massie, and he can't stop this by himself. We're going to wind up going to war. You know, this is the largest military buildup that the United States has ever done since Iraq. And there's never been a time when a military buildup of this size was done without anything happening. He can't just back off now. Here's the other part of it. His envoy, Steve Witkoff, said the other day that Iran is only 30 days away from having a nuclear weapon. Remember when he said they was obliterated? Obliterated, remember he said that. Here, I'll just tell you what he says. New York Post headline said, Iran is a week away from bomb-grade material, Witkoff warns. Right? June 25th, 2025. Iran's nuclear facilities have been obliterated, and suggestions otherwise are fake news. It can't be both, can it? Can it? Yeah, I sound like I smoke. Yes, Elizabeth. I do smoke. Been smoking since I was a child. Although I always had an unusual voice, it just got more crispy from the smoking. What's up, Hacker Dog and Pilnor 775? Anyone know when the McRib comes back? I don't. It was just recently back. So if it's gone already, you're gonna have to wait another year. Because my boss at work was eating one. It was like a month or two ago. Although, you never know anymore. They just whip it out whenever they feel like it now, the McRib. It used to be on like a regular schedule. But now they just, like I said, now they just whip it out whenever they feel like they need to get people's attention. To get some sales in the building. No, I'm not Pilnor. I don't work for McDonald's, so I can't swear to that. But I'm pretty sure, like I said, it was just recently out because I saw him eating it. So that was like a couple months ago. Like I said, I don't know. But anyway, here's the secret to what I was just saying: is he didn't obliterate the nuclear program. He lied, like he always does. And then it says that anybody not saying what he says is fake news. It was like, so what's the fake news? It was obliterated. It wasn't obliterated. They're going to have a weapons grade material in 30 days, which means they're enriching right now, right? With their obliterated program. Laura says, what meat is actually in the McRib? I believe it's a pork, but it's one of those press meats, so you don't know what's in it. It's like a loaf of scrap that they put into like a Play-Doh mold that looks like a rib, and then they slather with barbecue sauce, and no one cares what's in it. It's like, this is America. John says he never does anything but lie. That's right. That's what I'm telling you. So what is the State of the Union address given to you by a man that you can't trust at all to tell you the truth about anything? Did you hear that they murdered a 23-year-old in Texas months ago? This is before Alex Preddy and Renee Good. This is before that. But they didn't tell anybody. They kept it a secret. Because they lie about everything. Every single thing. This is the problem with the Trump administration. And this is the problem I have with their fucking nutlickers that go on TV. Like Scott Jennings, for example. Who just repeats verbatim whatever they say. Even though he himself has gotten caught up in saying things that blatantly weren't true because he just toes the party line. And the party line is bullshit. Period. So the President of the United States is going to speak, but you can't believe a word he says. So is the State of the Union even necessary at that point? Nutlickers already was on TV today saying all kinds of bullshit. Oh, inflation's down. Rents are going down. Like, where? Where are the rents going down? Where's inflation down? Wages are up. Are they? No, I don't believe that to be the case. As a matter of fact, I believe I saw a thing that, a report that said that wages were not up. But yet these people are all over the television telling you bullshit lies. The United States government is no longer trustworthy. All governments are not trustworthy on some level, like Bill Hicks always said. All governments are lying cocksuckers. Yes, Laura, it's a bad reality TV show. Only people are going to die. It's like what's going on in Mexico, right? I don't know if you know about this, but Mexico, 2 days ago, shot up and killed leader of the new Jalisco cartel, or I forget the name of it. I think it's something like that. He was one of the strongest cartel leaders in Mexico, right? Check this out. This is absolutely true. Killed because he was meeting his lover in a secret love nest. Proving once again that pussy will kill every man. He was doing good till he went out to get the pussy, and then he's killed by the government. But anyway, here's the deal, right? So the cartel immediately retaliated, started burning shit all over town, and there's all kinds of chaos going on in Mexico. And now could be a cartel war versus the government or whatever else. But they only did this because Trump put pressure on them and told them if they don't do something, he's going to do it. Which means I will invade your country unless you do what I want you to do, which is cause a bunch of chaos in your country. And I'm sure that the president of Mexico, that woman, what's her name, Sheinbaum, I think, that's a catch-22 choice, right? Either you do it or he's going to invade your country. So she decided to do something. Now we're going to see what happens as the situation unfolds. I predict there will be a wave of assassinations within the Mexican government by the cartel as an act of revenge, because they can't just let this go. Plus, killing him isn't going to end the cartel. Just like blowing up boats in the... Yes, James Shardhorn, he is a traitor. 100%. Here's something you might not know. I just saw this today. Where is it? Let's see. Today we learned, this is Pepel Klause, he's a European journalist, and Rick Wilson tweeted this out. And Rick Wilson is a former Republican who's now an anti-Trump guy, but it says, today we learned that almost the entire U.S. national security apparatus is running on software from a U.S. registered subsidiary of a Russian developer funded by a veteran of the KGB's Vimpel unit. For being a hoax, there certainly is always a lot of Russians lurking behind the curtain, behind the mega movements. I don't know if you've noticed this. It's all a hoax. Witkoff says, once again, 1 week away from having industrial-grade bomb-making material. In July 19, 2025, all 3 nuclear sites in Iran were completely destroyed and or obliterated. It will take years to bring them back into service, he says. Here's the other part you have to understand. Is it not only being the most compulsive liar on this earth, the man is also a fucking moron. We had the last nuclear deal, the one that Trump tore up, it was negotiated by Obama. You know why he tore up the nuclear deal, don't you? Because President Obama's name was on it. That's it. He's a petulant child. He's destroyed the fabric of the world that has kept World War III at bay since the end of World War II. Because he's a petulant child who hates Barack Obama so much that he wants to erase every single thing he's ever done and pretend that he never existed, because a black president hurts these people so much. This was the beginning of the Republicans losing their minds and allowing the white supremacists to take over their party. Because the white supremacists were like, see, we told you. Look what's happening. And they were like, oh my God, you're right. Come into the tent. We're sorry we kept you out. It's really, really, really funny to see. Like there's a article in the Atlantic this week, right? I posted it on my Facebook page, but it was like, do the Republicans have a Nazi problem? Motherfucker, I was saying this 10 years ago. Talk about being ahead of the curve. Everybody thought I was crazy. People literally said, you're crazy. You're hysterical. You're these things. And now mainstream journalists and outlets are printing and saying the very things that I was trying to tell people when this all started. And people wonder what's wrong with mainstream media is like, that's what's wrong. It's like this story. Yes, Laura, I am a little crazy. I'm sorry. I am, but not in that respect. John says, you think we'll make it another 20 years before it all breaks loose? Even after Trump strokes out and dies, the damage that's been done won't just stop. Yeah, I've been saying that. It's a machine now. And it's a machine, like I said, that's pushing faster and faster because they have to get more and more extreme at all times to keep up with the, to keep the algorithm going, to keep the clicks coming, to keep the views, the people engaged online. They got to get more and more and more radical. While they, at the same time, try to pretend like us, it's a gaslight. They say the defenders, the people who want to defend democracy, right, and defend America, what it's really supposed to be in the Constitution, etc., are now labeled by the right wing as radicals. It's like France. Take what happened in France, right? In France, I want to read you this article because I think it's interesting. But if you did not know, in France, they have their own mega movement, with far right people who hate immigrants and all that shit, right? But they also have leftist parties, and in France, left is way more left than in America. Leftists in America are basically centrists. There are no real communists. They always say that, but you don't see anybody walking around in America talking about communist ideas because they pretty much shut that all off with all the blacklisting and all that went on in the 50s. The leftists were like, well, we can't go too far to the left or they'll brand us communists and we'll get blacklisted from our jobs and whatever. Some even put in jail. But, so the right and the left are struggling, like I've been telling you. It's a worldwide thing. It's not just here. The right wing, especially, is a united and organized worldwide movement at this point. That's why J.D. Vance is over there talking at the Germany's far right, party gathering. It's a CPAC of Nazis in Germany. And J.D. Vance was there speaking. Why? Because they're organized. They all have the same agenda, which is for all the white countries to lock out all the immigrants and throw them out. Now, where they think they're going to throw them to, I don't know. That's why Trump is just randomly deporting people, not even back to where they fucking are from. Just any country that'll take them, he just want them out of here. Because like every one of their fucking ideas, which aren't even really ideas, it's very half-cocked. It's not thought out. They don't have position papers to explain anything except that Stephen Miller wants 30 million people gone out of this country, and that's it. There is no why or how. He's like, just get in power, get the money, and start doing it. As you can see, they've already tried several different approaches. First, they tried to send him to CCOT prison. Well, that's fucking illegal, of course. And plus, the guy in El Salvador, he don't want to be involved in that forever. He's like, I'll do it for your reality TV show for a minute, but I'm not going to keep housing these people, in... He built that prison for his own people. Well, not to mention, like I said, the total illegality of the whole situation. But anyway, so in France, there's a struggle between the right and the left, and there was a protest, and some leftists beat to death this leader of the right wing. So here's the situation. Is the far left about to replace the far right as the pariah of French politics? The question is inescapable following the killing and lying of nationalist student Quentin Duranc by suspected far left militants. Duranc was killed on the 12th of February after a small university protest by far right feminists who he was supposed to be protecting. Mobile phone footage shows him being repeatedly kicked and punched on the ground by masked and hooded young men. He died of head injuries. Since then, a torrent of condemnation has come down on the main party, on the radical left, La France Insoumise, France Unbowed, which is a bloc of some 70 MPs in the 577-member National Assembly, and on its leader, veteran firebrand Jean-Luc Mélenchon. On Saturday afternoon, about 3,000 people held a rally in memory of Quentin Durant at the place in Lyon where he was attacked. Security was tight. Police kept opponents away. Those attending were from an assortment of small traditionalist, Catholic, nationalist, and neo-fascist groups. Significantly, the populist Right National Rally, France's biggest party, kept away. The 7 suspects now charged in connection with the killing were all members of or close to an organization called Les Jeunes Gardes, the Young Guard, which used to provide security for LFI before it was banned last year. One of the suspects, Jacques-Élie Favreau, was the salaried parliamentary assistant of an LFI deputy, Raphael Arnaud, who set up the Young Guard in 2018. Favreau has been charged with complicity to murder by instigation, not with delivering the blows that killed Darenique. But Adrien Bassir, who according to his lawyer also worked in Arnaud's team at the National Assembly, is one of those charged with murder. All the suspects deny the intention to kill. 2 refused to talk, he said, while others admitted being there and some admitted to inflicting blows. For the past 50 years, it was constantly accepted by most of the French political establishment that the party to be ostracized for its links to extremism lay at the other end of the political spectrum, the National Front and its successor, the National Rally. What has happened in the last 10 days could be turning that notion on its head, completing the de-demonization of the RN, so fervently pursued by its leader, Marine Le Pen. And you don't know if you know Marine Le Pen. She's the leader of basically the French Nazis. And making new demons out of the radical left. From diametrically opposing points of view, the RN and LFI both reject the consensus that has governed France for the last 50 years. The central, That's what I keep saying is, it's a struggle now worldwide between the right and the left. And that's it. The center is being slowly eroded away, and there is no there, and the parties are farther and farther to the extreme. Now, like I said, in America, extreme left means center left. You say socialized medicine in this country and people freak the fuck out. So, you gonna tell me these are not really far left people in the United States? Like, Cortez is like the farthest left person you can find, besides Bernie. Let's see. The untouchable stain shifts from one to the other, from far right to far left. The implications for the future of France could be profound. Until now, the far right has been kept at bay by a cordon sanitaire applied by the rest of the parties. The RN may be the most popular party in the country, but it finds it hard to win elections because opponents make arrangements among themselves to ensure that the anti-RN vote is united, which is what we don't do here, which is how you end up with Donald Trump. A classic example is at the last legislative election in 2024. You might remember this if you follow the news. Called following President Macron's sudden dissolution of the assembly. Right? Remember, he dissolved parliament. The RN was expected to sweep the board and did well in the first round of voting. But in the decisive second round, Macronite and left-wing candidates stood aside in order to concentrate the anti-RN vote. The result was a resurgence of the left and the center, with the RN winning only 120 or so seats, and no majority for anyone. But this machination was only possible because other parties were willing to deal with Mélenchon's LFI, a party which, unlike the RN, was considered part of the Republican arc. In other words, acceptable. What if that's about to change because of the murder of Quentin Durant and the implication of young men with links to the LFI? What if the socialist was, he did, Beezus, he did say he was blowing Bubba. It wouldn't surprise me anything if Donald Trump does. But this says, what if the socialists with their 70 or so MPs and the centrists with about 160 refuse now to cut any kind of deal with LFI? Suddenly the blocking majority against the far right begins to collapse. But there's more. What if the mark of shame shifts so completely to the far left that the far right becomes clean by comparison? See, this is why overt violence often backfires. Violence should never be the way. Because once you commit violence, they can use that against you, like they're talking about now. Now the entire left in France is painted with this violence, and it's easier to get people who are on the fence to go, look, they're the bad guys, not us. And the people go, some of them will go, yeah, you're right. And then they switch over, which gives the far right more power. Then the conservative Republicans, with about 50 seats in the parliament, start openly dealing with the RN, and the far right is at the portal of the mainstream. All this could already have important repercussions in the municipal elections which take place next month across France. How much more significant it will be when voters come to choose who rules the country at the presidential and parliamentary elections of 2027. Writing in the conservative Le Figaro newspaper, commentator Guillaume Tabard put it succinctly: since Quentin Durant's death, the political landscape has shifted. Mélenchon's party has become the formation that is the most condemned in politics and the media. For the RN is a godsend after half a century in which the distinction belonged to it. Circumstances have certainly played hugely into the far right's hands. The Panic Party president Jordan Bardella are accustomed to accusations targeting the RN's own links with disreputable security organizations or electoral candidates with unacceptable pasts. Now they need barely to open their mouth. The rest of the political class is doing their work for them as centrists, conservatives, and moderate left-wingers alike join the anti-LFI campaign. The process of ostracism is all the more ineluctable because LFI itself has clearly decided that the worst policy would be to show remorse, which is terrible. They're fucking this all up. They're just like Democrats in America, like they don't know what to do. I will give the right this. They are much more skilled in manipulating the media, in messaging, in organization than the left. The left is always does things like this and shoot themselves in the foot. Naturally, they condemn the killing, but Mélenchon refuses to condemn the Young Guard or to suspend its founder, Raphael Arnault, as an MP. For France's mainstream left, it is all deeply disconcerting. They are caught between the need to distance themselves from LFI and the ingrained instinct not to give succor to the far right. It is a hopeless situation, and their only recourse is to keep reminding voters that the RN has its own history of ambivalence toward violent extremism. By focusing all of our attacks on the LFI, we are creating a corridor of respectability for the RN, lamented the former Prime Minister and possible 2027 presidential candidate Dominique de Villepin. The conservative in the past are now shifting to the left. We are offering the RN what it has always dreamed of, the appearance of normality. So see, France has their own mega problem. Or MAFA, or whatever you want to fucking... I guess it would be Mafuga. Make France great again. Or you know what's funny? Is it's just like make America great again. Or any country that says make it great again. It was never great. It's always been a fantasy and a myth that these countries are great. They've never been great. You're enslavers and colonizers and murderers. And Not, I mean, every country. It's like all the European countries, at least, and America. It was never great. It's a lie. It's it's like I told you the other night. It's like what they did was they 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 back people into a corner, right? And then when they respond, they go, "Look, they're violent." That's always been their MO. That's what they did to the Native Americans here in America. They killed them, murdered them, pushed them all into a corner, and then when they all united together and said, well, we have to fight back, and so the tribes dropped their own differences and got together, created a big army, right? Wiped Custer off the fucking earth at the Battle of the Little Bighorn, and what happened? Right? White America newspapers like, these savages... See, they're violent. We have to kill them. It's like, well, you were already killing them. $15. So you could give it to my Substack. You could give it to... I got a Venmo. I got a Patreon. I usually don't beg for money because I'm not like Donald Trump. But I do have a Patreon if you would like to support this show. And I do want to say that the last episode was the most viewed episode I've ever done. And my views have been going up every week. And so I thank you for that. I thank all you people that are here. If you're new here, thank you. Please like this show. It's Bruce Leonard. Let's see what it is. I forget the name. There's a number, I think. Oh, it's anyway. I put my QR code up somewhere if you really care. And I said, I'm not here to beg for money. I mean, like that guy that comes out here and says I'm poor all the time. He hears me begging for money. He'll be like, see, I told you this guy's broke. It's like, and not broke, but like I said, could use support for these endeavors. But I do want to thank you for patronizing the show. But here's the way. Here's what's going on. So the mega people jumped all over this, right? And Trump and all this, they're tweeting out, oh, look, it's far left extremism in France, and blah, blah, it's far left. Well, Jared Kushner's father is Trump's nominated ambassador to France, right? And of course, so he goes on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck, and he says the same thing because, like I told you, they all say the same things all the time. Like somebody says, we're going to tweet about this, so everybody right now tweet about the France thing, and they all do it at the same time because they're very coordinated in their messaging apparatus. What's up, E-Rock's Fifth Element? Thanks for coming back. Anyway, so he says, oh, look, it's far left extremism in France and blah, 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 basically defending a dead Nazi. So France barred him. They said he's no longer has access to the government in France unless they have a meeting and they talk about this, because the French are like, hey, we don't want you getting involved in our internal politics, which is true. We ain't got no business being involved in their internal politics. But see, Trump and MAGA, they want to create MAGA all over the fucking world. That's why I've been telling you, these right-wingers, they're joined together. It's a worldwide organization of right-wing Christian white people all over the world who believe in their minds that they're going to lose their identity because of all the immigrants. It's what I've been telling you all the time, is humanity's attachment to tribal thinking is what holds the human race back from evolving. Because here's the truth, especially with AI, the internet, and all this shit, it's already out of the bag. This is a world. Why? This is a world. It's the globalization is done. It's not going back in the fucking box. What these people want to do is go back in the past. Have I seen the movie Equilibrium? I don't think I have. E-Rock's Fifth Element. I just call you E-Rocks for brevity. It's like, no, I'll call you that. No, I have not seen it. But it's just like I was asking Danielle if he had ever seen Elysium, because to me, Elysium, it's not a great movie, but the concept of it is very, very, very like you could see it actually happening, where the rich tech people make all the money and they build themselves this. They destroy this planet basically, and they leave us all down here scrapping for whatever we can scrap, and they're all living up in a space station that orbits the Earth in luxury, you know, like a never-ending cruise ship. Which to me doesn't sound like fun either, but it's like all these scenarios are way more what would you call it? E-Rock says it's the same with Equilibrium. It's just about control. What are you talking about, dude? Obviously, I'm a man. What's my gender? I'm a human being. How's that? But let's keep it vague. Seems way more likely, these scenarios, than human beings getting their shit together, doesn't it? And that's really depressing. Human beings getting their shit together and ending up like Star Trek. See, Star Trek seems so quaint now, doesn't it? Like, it's such a quaint idea that Gene Roddenberry thought that humanity was going to evolve to a point where we put aside all of our tribal differences and prejudices and we can work together to make a wonderful world, and then we would explore space and look for other life. It seems so fucking quaint, doesn't it? Because that's not gonna fucking happen. As long as you got people like Trump and these Nazis, and like I said, the internet is a brainwash machine, and it is also an organizing tool, and they have taken advantage of it. There is nothing on the left that's even half of the infrastructure that the right wing has created. If you just go down the list of all the things, you know, they got Fox News, they got OAN, they got Newsmax, they got Benny Johnson, they got Tim Pool, they got Nick Fuentes, they got Tucker Carlson, they got Megyn Kelly, they got, I mean, just keep going on and on and on. And even on the mainstream media, they got people like Scott Jennings and people like that. And that's the other part of it, is that people are invested in acting like everything is normal when it isn't. Like, do you really, really think? I've asked this question since this has been going on, but do you really, really think that their inability to crack this Savannah Guthrie case doesn't have anything to do with the fact that all the good FBI agents were rounded out of the FBI, and all that was left Because Donald Trump, this is why Donald Trump is not a good leader. A good leader wants smart people around him who will give him different perspectives. Right? And then he makes an informed decision. Donald Trump doesn't want that. Donald Trump wants people who will sit around a table and just listen to him blather on for fucking 2 hours and then do whatever he tells them to do. And that's what he has. Sycophants. It's just like Nazi Germany. I mean, it's literally almost just like it. You know, Hitler used to bring people to that, I forget what, there was a name for it, but that place in the mountains, the Berghof, they call it, right? When people, and everybody was competing to get invited to the Berghof because that's where Hitler spent most of his time because he didn't really like being, at work. So they had to come to him. Well, what did they do there? They said they would watch movies that he chose, and then he would just speak and rant on and on and on and on. Owen Jennings, that would be 0. I'm not gay at all. As a matter of fact, I have a girlfriend. And was married once to a woman. Let's say. Not that there's anything wrong with it. My uncle was gay. He got the gay gene. Not me. It skipped me. You who's a trans person. I'm sorry, my niece now. I need to, and again, nothing wrong with that at all. This is my philosophy. Be who you want. Wow, what a novel idea. It's your life. You be what you want. Who am I to tell you what to be? You want to be a man? You want to be a woman? Oh, that's real original. Owen Jennings. And what makes you think that? This is ironic. You're probably a Trumper. A man who worships and follows a cabal of pedophiles, votes for them for public office, but thinks that everybody else likes little boys. Yes, Laura, not gay. 100% straight, heterosexual male. I don't sit here and say, I'm an alpha male. These people are so obsessed with appearing manly that it's almost like a mental illness. It's like they're all they're competing, who could say the dumbest shit, trying to pretend like they're macho. Yes, Davey was OG gay. Uncle David, he was part of the. That's why I did that fundraiser for that. There's an organization, I can't remember their names, but they raise money to pay the medical bills of LGBTQ people who get attacked by Nazis or whatever, get beat up. And I was doing a fundraiser for them, and I couldn't help but think of all the stories that Uncle David had told me about things that had happened to gay people, back in the 1950s. Early 60s, and growing up here where you had to keep it all secret, because you would really put your life at risk by just being yourself. Back when America was great. when roaming bands of rednecks would drive around with ropes and rocks and pickup trucks looking for any black person or gay person who might be out too late at night. That's You know, when America was great. Well, that's what Trump says. It was great. That's my point. It was never great. Was France great? It could have, as I said, had a king. The king's fucking corrupt. People are starving. They're like, Queen's like, let him eat cake. And they're like, fuck that. And they like, fuck you. And they killed him and cut her head off. And then, what happened? Well, the people that did the revolution, they got just as bad as the king. They started killing people and shit. So Napoleon had to put all that down and try to put order back into the country. And then what happened to him? The megalomaniac fucking jerk off who tried to take over Europe. Like, so they had to ship him off to the island. Then they were like, hey, maybe we should bring the king back. So they brought the king back for a minute, and then he sucked again. And they were like, well, fuck that. And they took the king away again. You know, back when France was great. Like, they were never great. What, England? England was great. Oh, yeah, when they were making deals with the Dutch to enslave a whole race of people that they could send its ships over to the Caribbean so they could take over all the islands and rob all the fucking native people there of their resources and enslave them as well. And then found America where they could kill everybody there. And take over that country as well. And then what happened? Well, they didn't plan, right? And so America broke off. It was like, exactly, John. And again, though, were these countries great? They were never great. Great Britain even has great in the name. Great Britain! Is it great? No. No. That's the problem, is when you try to put your identity into these myths. So your whole identity is already based off a false premise. Right? You're like, I'm an American, and that makes me great because America's great. It's like, is it great? And what did you have to do with it? Oh, nothing really. Just live here. It's unbelievable. And like I said, your whole premise is false to begin with. It doesn't make any sense when you think about it logically. You know, the truth is, the cat's out of the bag. This is a globalist world, and we have to start looking at the world in a different way, or we're not going to make it. We're going to wind up in World War III. You know that's right. At a certain point, I believe that it's inevitable, even though that's depressing to say. But how we come out of that, that's if someone doesn't shoot off nukes and kill everybody, you know. But let's say what they don't shoot off nukes and kill everybody, and we get through World War III. Are we going to learn a fucking lesson? Did we really? I mean, if we have World War III, and you add up all the world wars, you'd be like, we probably killed 1 billion people. And what did we accomplish from this? We're right back where we started before World War II. To tell you the truth, this is pretty much the same scenario. There's not much difference. If you don't believe me, I said go read about World War II. World War II happened because we didn't really solve World War I. People just got sick of killing each other for a while. And they were like, all right, then, let's end this out. And then they were like, well, Germany's got to pay because they started this, you know. And then so everybody boxed Germany into a corner. And then what happened? What really should have happened was at the end of World War One, everyone should have sat down and said, "Man, this is not the way to be. Let's figure this out." They didn't do that, did they? And everyone's still trying to carve the world into their Trump. This is the problem with Trump, is he has outdated and outmoded viewpoints of looking at the world. He's looking at the world like it's 1890. That's an interesting question, Elliot. Elliot 6467 says, "What's my favorite soup flavor?" It's an interesting question, really. I haven't really ever thought about that. My absolute favorite? I don't know, really. I'll tell you this much. It's hard to beat a good tomato soup with the grilled cheese. Now, if I can have the grilled cheese, I'd say tomato soup and the grilled cheese is my favorite soup flavor. But if I can't have the grilled cheese, now the answer changes, because if all I can have is a straight soup, now I've always been a stew guy. Give me some beef stew. I'm into that. I'd rather have that than soup. Although I do like, yes, I have been to Tom and Cheese Costello. Actually, guy I know was one of the founders of that. Come on, Laura. That's some snidely shit. Undercover snark. Anyway. It's like I've been telling you. This is a struggle between the right and the left, and it's going to happen. The guy's going to say, "Ghetto grilled cheese." What's that? I mean, grilled cheese in and of itself is already pretty ghetto. It's like, let's be honest. It's like, like my famous ghetto grilled cheese. Ghetto, same thing. Nobody knows what ghetto is. German people, if somebody's watching from Germany, they might know. But anybody else, they're like, "What the fuck is ghetto?" Where's that McRib guy? The Getters, he probably like Getter. It's like a pressed loaf of some sort. Scrap loaf. Anyway, I've been saying on this show for a while. And again, not to toot my own horn or anything, but like I said, I've been ahead of the curve on all this stuff. It was killing me to see that article. I think it was Tom Nichols was writing in the Atlantic about, does the Republican Party have a Nazi problem? Bro, that question is about 10 years too late. Yes, they have a Nazi problem, and they've had it for quite a while. Charlottesville didn't tell you that? They're literally marching around the streets with fucking torches talking about Jews won't replace them. Are these Nazis? Yes, they're Nazis. And they ain't voting for fucking Joe Biden, I'll tell you that right now. Or Kamala Harris. What you're going to have is, like I said, if the left doesn't get their shit together and realize that they have to do the same things that the right does, which is organize better, message better. This is a prime example. Remember when the Democrats, this is a prime example where Democrats fuck up all the time, right? They do dumb shit, like they defund the police. Remember that? Right? Just say it out loud. Just say it. Defund the police. It's a stupid fucking slogan. Because that wasn't really what they were trying to do. What they wanted to do was demilitarize the police and take the heat down and take away some of this military equipment that the police been using to fucking subjugate people. Right? But they didn't do that. Somebody decided that the catchphrase for that idea should be defund the police, which makes it sound like you just want to take all the police's money and get rid of the police. And, of course, that's how the right-wing people framed it, because you just gave them the perfect... You handed them. It's like handing them a match to burn down your own house. You know? And the Democrats do it over and over and over again, and they haven't figured out that these people are ruthless and will lie with impunity about every single fucking thing. I'll give you an example. Just this happened the other day. Gavin Newsom was speaking to a crowd, right? And he said, "I'm just like you. I only got 960 on the SAT. I'm just a regular guy. I have dyslexia and I can't really read. So I can't read speeches." Which is even more impressive. Like, he can't read the speeches. He just talks. It's like, man, he sure is a polished talker. But but anyway, right wing goes on the X or the Twitter and they say, Gavin Newsom tells an audience of black people he's just like them, stupid. I swear to God. First of all, the audience wasn't black people. It was a mixed crowd of just a crowd. It wasn't like a black audience. It wasn't like fucking Bullworth where he's just talking to all black people. If you've never seen that movie, you should watch that movie, Bullworth. That, you want to talk about something way ahead of its time. That movie was way ahead of its time. It's one of those movies you watch it now and you go, man, he had his finger right on it. It's a Warren Beatty film. Anyway, they lie constantly, which brings us back to the State of the Union. Like, are you gonna watch the State of the Union? Like, and I say, yeah. People are asking me, you gonna watch it? I say, yeah. Why? Well, because I feel like I have to, because I do this show and I talk to you. It's kind of my responsibility. Now that I'm some kind of, I don't know what I would call this. I'm not exactly a journalist, but as I'm a commentator, right, on politics and current events, I feel like I have to watch at least some of it, as much of it as I can stomach. But it goes back to my original point: is it even anything if you know that you can't trust the person that you're talking to? If you know that this person just spews lies and bullshit out of his fucking mouth all day and night with no impunity or no respect for your intelligence, right? He just lies constantly. And so much so that even the courts had to reprimand him for lying in court. You can't trust these people at all. And that's the real problem. And people think that, like John said, like when Trump goes away, this is not just going away. All these problems that he's created, not to mention there's still 3 more years to go, and we could be in World War III by that point. He's got an armada in the Middle East right now. He's going to start a war with Iran. Iran has 90 million people and proxies and terrorist groups all over the world. You think they're just going to lay down? Steve Witkoff said, I swear to God, this is what he said. He said, I just really can't believe that it's been this long and they haven't, well, I don't want to say capitulate, but I mean, they haven't capitulated? Capitulated? You think the Iranians are going to capitulate to the United States? That's the problem with These people, we had a nuclear physicist negotiating with Iran the last nuclear deal that they made. Steve Witkoff is a real estate developer who plays golf with Donald Trump. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's in over his head. He has no concept of history or politics or any of the things or the relationship between Iran and the countries around him. The Shia Muslims that they are, or whatever. It's like, so I don't know if you know this, but Iran and Iraq had a war, right? Because Iran are Shiite Muslims, and most of Iraq is Sunni Muslims. And even in the Sunni Muslims, they have a divide. Then they fight each other. These people they don't get along. The only thing they all have in common is they all hate Israel and the United States. The only thing that can unite these people together is if they would fight Israel and the United States. But see, you got crazy Christians in charge that's what they want. They believe in Armageddon and the rapture and all that bullshit. These are extremist people. They call everybody else extremists. These are the real extremists. The Christian nationalists, I said that. Yes, they were already on TV, John, saying bullshit. Like I said, saying like, oh, wages are up and all the economy's starting to turn around. Really? I'm sure they believe that. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. Again, like I said, my last. Yeah, well, Ken, we're gonna write it down. We're gonna try to have a laugh or two while we're at it. I don't know what else we can do. Let's say. Because until people get their heads out of their asses and realize we got to get rid of these fucking people, we're just going to keep sliding down this fucking, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, if you're new here, I thank you for tuning in. Like I said, my last episode was actually the most viewed episode I've ever done. I almost got to 200. Let's say, I think I was 193 or something. It's like that pisses me off even more than like getting 150. Like when you get close. That's why I'm saying like the 100 message cut. When I go back and it says you're at 97 messages, that fucking makes me mad. I would rather nobody had said anything than to get that close and not achieve the goal. But anyway, I do appreciate everyone that watches this show. And I said, well, wouldn't have a show. If it hadn't kept growing, I might have just stopped doing it. And I've grown to enjoy doing this, to tell you the truth, and talking to you people all over the world. And it's actually something I've never. I didn't know what was going to happen when I started this show, and I said it turned out to be a more pleasant experience than I thought it would be. Anyway, I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, United States time. I don't know where you are in the world, but it's 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'm live, and I respond to your comments. I want participation in the show. Please, if you haven't, like the channel. I got a couple subscribers last episode. Thank you for that. Subscribe, please, to the channel. Leave a comment if you want. If you want to send me a private message, it's Bruce Leonard Leans Left at Outlook.com. I'd like to thank you all for hanging out with me. Like I said, I'm going to go and try to watch this, I guess. So, as much as I can stomach, which would probably be about 5 minutes. Anyway, remember, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, United States. I am here live 3 times a week. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like I said, be safe. I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you. Good night.